Meta has consistently ranked among the top 10 most valuable companies in the world. It has billions of users, dominant platforms, and generates enormous profits. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are deeply embedded in daily life, and from the outside, the business appears almost untouchable. But that view is misleading. Meta is not fragile because it is weak. It is fragile because its entire business depends on a single system, and that system is under pressure from multiple directions. At its core, Meta is a social media company, but its business model is overwhelmingly dependent on advertising. The platforms are free to use, and they are not the product. The product is user attention combined with data. Meta captures attention, analyzes behavior, and sells targeted advertising to businesses. This model has been extremely successful. It allows Meta to deliver highly efficient ads at massive scale, which is why advertisers continue to spend heavily on its platforms. However, this model also creates concentration. When the vast majority of revenue depends on a single system, which is targeted advertising, any disruption to that system becomes a direct threat to the entire business. Meta's fragility comes from three structural risks that all target the same core engine. The first risk is privacy. Meta's advertising model depends on its ability to track user behavior across apps and websites. This data allows it to target ads with high precision, which is what makes its platform valuable to advertisers. But this capability is being restricted. Companies like Apple Incorporated have introduced privacy changes that limit tracking. Users can now opt out of being tracked across applications, which reduces the amount of data Meta can collect. The impact is direct. With less data, ad targeting becomes less accurate. When targeting becomes less accurate, advertisers see lower returns. And when returns fall, advertising budgets follow. This is not a theoretical risk. Meta has already experienced significant revenue impact from these changes. The key point is simple. If Meta cannot track effectively, its core advantage weakens. The second risk is attention. Meta's business depends on user engagement. The more time users spend on its platforms, the more ads it can show, and the more revenue it can generate. But attention is not fixed. It moves. Platforms like TikTok have demonstrated how quickly user behavior can shift, especially among younger audiences. Short-form video, algorithm-driven feeds, and new content formats can pull time away from Meta's apps. Even small declines in engagement matter at Meta's scale. A reduction in time spent translates directly into fewer ad impressions and lower revenue. In this sense, attention is not just a metric. It is the foundation of the business. If Meta loses attention, it loses its ability to monetize. The third risk is regulation. Governments around the world are increasingly focused on large technology companies, particularly those that control data and digital advertising. Meta faces the risk of stricter rules on data usage, limitations on targeted advertising, and in more extreme cases, structural intervention. There is a growing discussion around breaking up large platforms or forcing separation between different parts of the business. If Meta were required to separate its platforms or restrict how data flows between them, its advertising system could become significantly less effective, and it would likely face stronger competition from other platforms. Unlike operational risks, regulatory actions can be abrupt and difficult to control. They do not just reduce efficiency, they can fundamentally reshape the business. As of today, Meta remains a highly profitable and financially strong company. It has scale, resources, and strong technical capabilities. However, these strengths do not eliminate structural risk. They operate on top of a system that is becoming more constrained over time. When evaluating Meta, the key question is not how many users it has or how popular its platforms are. The real question is whether its core system, targeted advertising, can remain effective in a world with less data, shifting attention, and increasing regulation. Meta's strength comes from this system, and that is exactly what makes it fragile.